BookTube. It's Breckie from Breckie Writes, and this is Breckie Reads. It's time for my Top 5 Wednesday. Top 5 Wednesday was started by Lainey from Ginger Reads Lainey, and I will link her channel in the description below. This week's Top 5 Wednesday, Top 5 Books That You Were Spoiled For. I have to start with saying there are very few books where major plot points have actually been spoiled for me. There are a couple where little things have been given away, but for the most part, I have been really fortunate on not being spoiled. That being said, there are some books that I was really epically spoiled for. My number 5 book that I was spoiled for was Twilight. Actually, the entire Twilight series. I didn't read this until like 6 years after this came out, maybe even later than that. I read them all on a dare. I am not really a Twilight person. I would never have thought of myself as a paranormal romance person, and I have a lot of feelings about Twilight. Although I was spoiled because I knew the entire plot line, like I knew the whole plot line, all 4 books. I knew how it ended. When I did get around to reading them, it did kind of ruin some of the suspense. Now, I never thought I would read them, so me being spoiled for these is a little bit my own fault, but yeah, I was spoiled for this entire series. My number 4 book that I was spoiled for is the Grisha trilogy. Now, I will say I don't know the whole ending. I only had a little spoil, and that is I know who she does not end up with romantically. I don't know exactly who she ends up with, although I have a really good guess, but I do know who she doesn't end up with, and that does shape how I'm reading the story. It could have gone a very different direction, and knowing that it doesn't is a kind of spoiler. I haven't been spoiled for all the big things, but I definitely have been spoiled for a few small things, and that is one of the reasons I am trying to get through this trilogy as soon as possible, because I don't want to be spoiled for any more than I already am. The third book that I have been spoiled for, The Fault in Our Stars. Yes, I was spoiled for The Fault in Our Stars. God bless Nerdfighters, I love you all, but people were talking on Tumblr about the end of this book, like within a couple of weeks of this coming out. And there were definitely conversations happening in public, like non-spoiler places that were like, oh hey, blah 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 blah. I will say it did not ruin the book. I still really enjoyed it, but yeah, I was not pleased. It was not a nice day for me. The number 2 book that I was spoiled for, Vampire Academy. Now, I'm not as sad about this because I hadn't intended to actually continue reading the series, so the spoilers kind of made me actually interested, although I'm not really sure how I feel about it. But yeah, I was spoiled for this entire, the romance in this was spoiled for me. The entire romance in this was spoiled for me because of Tumblr. I really should just avoid Tumblr is what I'm learning through making this video. Spoiled for me because of Tumblr. And my number 1 biggest spoil, biggest spoil. Like seriously, I could have punched somebody's spoil. Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix. You guys, I knew who died and how they died before I read this book. Now I will say it took me a lot longer to read Harry Potter because I was in college, and so I waited until I finished school and I powered through the last 3 books in the series, like one right after the other. But still, people were all talking about what happened, and I was just like, are you serious right now? And they looked at me and they said, but Breckie, I thought you've read all of the Harry Potter books. And I was like, you all know that I'm waiting to read them. This book, I was so mad about it. Biggest spoil of my life was knowing how this, I can't. Those of you who've read Harry Potter, you know exactly what I was spoiled on, and I just cannot even. Those are my top 5 books that have been spoiled for me. Let me know if you have any books that have been spoiled for you in the comments, or if you were spoiled for any of these books too. I suspect there'll be a couple of people who were spoiled for Harry Potter because, yeah, the internet. I hope you guys have a great week. Bye!